This month's podcasts are sponsored by Aubergine Legal. Do you sometimes worry that your business isn't meeting all its legal compliance requirements and wonder if you're ticking all the legal boxes? Are you losing sleep worrying about a piece of legislation that you may or may not be complying with? Perhaps you need some help with your client contracts or your data protection compliance. Or maybe you're worried that your website doesn't have the right documents or legal notices in the right place. Perhaps you have a brand that you want to protect with a trademark. How about if you could outsource it all and eliminate all of your worries? If so, then get in touch with Aubergine Legal, a friendly commercial legal consultancy offering practical and clear commercial legal advice without the overwhelming legal jargon, taking the worry away and helping you to protect your business and minimise your risks. Aubergine offers a free 30-minute consultation if you have any questions or want to find out if they can help, and you can access this link and book your free 30-minute call via the link in the show notes. Welcome to the Bring Your Product Idea to Life podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're getting started selling products or if you'd like to create your own product to sell. I'm Vicky Weinberg, a product creation coach and Amazon expert. Every week, I share friendly, practical advice as well as inspirational stories from small businesses. Let's get started. So today on the podcast, I'm talking to Jennifer Cooper. Jenny is the founder of Jennifer Cooper Timesaver, a team of talented ladies dedicated to helping you and your business thrive. Jenny is an expert at helping indie business owners save time and money with tech, utilising the systems available to help you get more done with less effort so you can focus on the areas of your business that light you up. Jenny is passionate about teaching entrepreneurs and founders how they can leverage the rapid advancements in AI in their business, suggesting use cases and opportunities you may never have considered. So today's episode is, as you might expect, all about AI and how you can use AI to not only save time in your business, but also to help you with some of the tasks you need to get done. And Jenny talks about how she feels that small businesses can use AI to kind of level the playing fields and put them on a similar footing in some areas with some of the larger businesses who maybe have some more resources at hand. This was a really fascinating conversation. I certainly took away from it a few things that I'm going to go away and do to kind of try and use AI. I've been using it a little bit in my business, which we discuss more in this episode, but Jenny definitely gave me some ideas to think about, things that I'd never even considered and ways that I could really utilise it to save some time and stop the procrastination as well, which is always good. So I would love now to introduce you to Jenny. So hi Jenny, thank you so much for being here again.
Hi Vicky, thanks for having me back.
Oh, you're welcome. So can you please just remind everyone of what you do, your business, and just give a little introduction?
So my name's Jenny. I'm the founder of Jennifer Cooper Timesaver, which is a business all about helping solopreneurs and independent businesses save time in their business and get more done. So the idea is to take everything off you, which is not why you got into small business, such as social media, being visible online, sorting out your website, dealing with your emails, so that you can focus on what you actually want to do in your business, such as getting on with coming up with product ideas and showcasing it to the wider world. I have a team of 6 talented ladies who work for me, who do all these tasks. I specialise in strategy and mentoring, so basically helping you as a business owner work out where you can save time in your business, all the different tools you can use to save time, free where we can, and coming up with sort of priorities and of what to get done, and also analysing the commerciality. So my background's actually in retail. So I spent 18 years as a bookseller. So things like sales and knowing what will sell don't faze me. So I think that's a nice addition that I can bring to people I work with.
Thank you. And I have to say you are very good at all of this. Of all the people I work with, I have to say you're probably the most proactive at telling me how I can save time and money on a regular basis, which is always appreciated. So yeah, you definitely know your stuff. And so I've invited you on here today to talk about AI because I know that's something that you've got a real interest in and you're really specialising in as well. I don't know anyone at the moment who uses AI as much in business as you. So really excited to talk about it. I've only dabbled, I think it's fair to say at this point. So let's start with the really basic question of what is AI? What does it mean? And what is it?
So I would say with AI, you're already using it without even thinking about it. So if you've got a smartphone, smartwatch, if you've got a smart assistant in your house, if you've got Alexa or Google Home, you're already using aspects of AI. So basically, it's just technology that can kind of has been trained to take a bit of initiative and respond to human voice and access that information to give you what you want. So you've probably already been using it for a while anyway. Things that we would call like AI tools, like on your phone, if you can remove someone from the background, that's all kind of versions of it. But obviously, the big development that's happened is the development of OpenAI, which is basically, I'm not the tech expert on the actual how it all works. I'm more on how to use it. But it's the development of AI that basically is learning at a faster speed and can basically trawl everything on the internet that's been written and much faster come up with responses, but also learn from that and learn from you to sort of basically improve its responses. So rather than being stuck at one level, it's constantly learning and improving.
That makes sense. Thank you. And it's definitely, from what I can see, from the very limited playing about I've done, it's definitely getting more intelligent all the time. And I guess that's because the more people that use it, the more data it gets and the more it can learn from it.
Yes, completely. But the key thing here is I could see that a lot of people could be like, I want to turn off now. Like, I don't want to bring AI into my business, because I think what's stuck in their head is either like the sort of the fear of the robots thing, or it just makes everything really unpersonal. And it's just thinking about what AI can take over all our jobs and do all our copywriting for us. That is not how I see it at all. Okay, so it is not going to take your job. What it is it is just an absolutely brilliant tool that you can use. And if you're not using it, you are going to get overtaken by people who do use it, because they are going to be getting so much more done than you. But this is the key thing. It's not taking your job. It is a tool to use with your job.
Thank you. That's a really good point to clarify, actually. And from what I can see about how AI could work, so for my business, is I see it that AI could just save me time, basically, really, is the very crux of it. I can see a few ways, well, actually, you've shown me a few ways where AI can just save me some time. And I don't think it's the solution. I don't think people should be using AI necessarily to write, to do all their writing or whatever. But there's definitely, I think some of the automation aspects are brilliant. And I think that it can definitely save time on maybe some of the repetitive jobs that you have to do, or just give you a starting point, really, when it comes to anything creative.
Yeah. So I think that's the key thing. So for me, you can use AI tools, and I'll go into detail explaining different ones there are and how to use them later, but you can use them to save you time, so to get more done. And I think particularly for small businesses, that means it's like a great democratizer, because it means you have all these tools at your disposal to get things done that before AI, you'd need to hire, a copywriter, you need to hire a marketing this, you need to hire that. You can't do that as a small business, but there's a lot you can use on AI, which will basically allow you to kind of jump over that and compete with other people. And the other huge thing is, I think it's absolutely brilliant for, I'm a woman in my 40s and I have perimenopause and brain fog. It is absolutely brilliant at getting you past procrastination, blocks, brain fog, if you're dyslexic. So actually, it's this massive tool rather than just sat there being stuck. You can't think of the words. You don't know where to start. Go to AI, use that, and then suddenly you're past that rather than sitting for half the morning feeling rubbish about yourself.
And I think that's a real benefit, as you say, because I know that sometimes the thing that stops me writing a social media post or writing a blog post is starting. Those first 10 words, I think, are the hardest. So you're right, it does get you over that, what can be actually a mental hurdle as well, of just looking at a blank page. So I think there are definitely some benefits of AI. But what I'd love to do, Jenny, if it's okay, is just get a bit more I don't know how we say it, practical, tangible, and talk about what kind of things can AI do for you and for your business. So for anyone listening, what are some examples of how we can actually use AI?
So the main AI tools I'm going to refer to are probably the ones that most people have heard of. So ChatGPT, Claude, which is another one. Claude's very good for writing. And it used to be Google Bard, but they've just rebranded and now calling it Google Gemini, which is a worse name, but hey, that's what they've decided to do. So things that you could use them. I'm going to talk particularly as a product business owner, as obviously I know that's your listeners. A huge one is around all your marketing. So obviously that is a massive, endless job as product business owner. Idea generation. So what you can do is you can ask AI about coming up with email ideas, social media ideas, blog ideas. Now, if you just put in something really simple of like come up with blog ideas, you're not going to get good content. So the absolute key thing with AI, and where a lot of people make mistakes, is they put in a really simple instruction. It doesn't give a good answer. And they're like, well, that's useless. I'm not doing that again. And what you have to do is you have to get better with your instructions. So you have to think of AI as, rather than Google, where you just put in you kind of put in keywords, aren't you, to bring up what you want. With AI, what you want to do is you need to think of it if you had like an intern or a work experience or a new person in the job. So you wouldn't just say to that person, would you, write a blog post? What you would do is you give them context. So for instance, if you want to say, get ideas for like, what emails could I send out to my list? You need to follow the 4 things. So what you need to do is say who you are. So you would say, right, I am a product business owner who makes lampshades. My main clients are, and then maybe miss sort of the taste that they like, maybe boho. You need to explain what you want. So I want like a load of email ideas that are relevant, say, for this season, and will encourage buyers to do this. You want to do objectives. So, you sort of say like, I want this many ideas, or I want it in this format. So that's what, can you see, you're giving it a lot more information. And then if you do that, then you start getting good ideas. Now, what you get, this is the other mistake. People think you use exactly what you get. You don't use exactly what you get, but it sparks ideas. So I did this for a client yesterday who runs an online business. It came up with 20 ideas. Then I could go through them and go, no, but actually, that's a good idea. And what it does is it sparks that idea for you of like, oh, right, I could do that. And actually I could apply that to that product and do that. So that's the kind of understanding. It's more about the idea and sparking the inspiration rather than this is exactly what I'm going to use. So that is absolutely brilliant. And again, you can do this again for blogs. So I would say, rather than writing the blog post, what you want to do is get it to suggest ideas for the blog post. It's like, bring up suggestions of, what would appeal to this audience. And that's where it's really useful. You can also use it with product business. So what would the objections be? So rather than you having to sit and think of like, why wouldn't people want to buy this product? You can say to AI, right, I've got this product. What are the reasons people might not want to buy it? And it will just go, boom. So rather than you maybe having to ask 20 different friends or really brainstorm, AI will instantly come up with that. And then you've got loads of ideas that you can either address, do your social media posts about, do your blog post about overcoming the objections people might have to buy it. So do you see what I'm saying? It's about using those ideas.
I imagine as well, Jenny, sorry to interrupt, but I'm just thinking that if you wanted to have a frequently asked questions page on your website, that to me, so you sparked an idea in me that would actually be something else that maybe AI could help you with. What questions would people have about my product or my business, for example? Obviously giving it
absolutely
context.
Perfect for that. So it's more about that rather than, I think people have got stuck in it's creating the content. It's not creating the content. What it is it's getting you past all those ideas. So you could come up with that, but that would, if you were trying to come up with those frequently asked problems, potentially that's a morning that you're spending researching, maybe looking at other websites. Now, this is the other key thing. This is why AI is better than Google, because if you're looking at other websites and if you're on Google like me, then you see other stuff. And before you know it, you're on Facebook and you spent 10 minutes looking at your friend's post about their holiday and you can't even remember what you're doing. The beautiful thing about if you stay in AI is at the moment, there's nothing on the sidebars. There's no adverts. There's no distractions. You're not clicking onto another tab. So it's really, really clear. So you don't get distracted and you get that answer instantly and without you sort of disappearing into Facebook for hours.
Yeah, that's really good. And because as you say, it's so easy to just get distracted online. I really like that about AI tools as well at the moment, because obviously this might change. As you say, there's nowhere else to go. It's very focused on keeping you where you are.
Yeah. So that's kind of one thing around sort of big ideas. Then you can use it particularly around content for like really little specific things. So it's really good if you just say want a list of national days relevant to your industry. Hashtags. I've used it for locations as well. So I work with some property businesses, and basically we want to attract people living in the wealthiest villages in a certain area. So I can just put into AI, can you give me list of the wealthiest villages in this area, formatted as a list with hashtags in front. Boom, I've got my list of villages that I want to tag in on this post. So it's really good on those little things as well as the bigger things. But also there's other tools you can use. It's brilliant for repurposing content. So for instance, I think people know I work with you on your podcast, but I work with other podcasts. If you've already created a podcast, so you've already got that audio recording, you can then now put it into AI tools, for instance, Cast Magic, and it will basically not only give you the script, but you can press buttons and it will turn that into a blog. It will give you headlines. It will give you suggested social media posts. So the key thing is AI has not created that content. You've created that original content, but what it's done is it's then instantly repurposed it for you into lots of different things. So I've also done that for clients. We've created blog posts out of Instagram posts. So again, that's their original work. They've written those Instagram posts. I find several that are around a theme, put it all into AI. It turns it into blog posts. Now, as with all AI, if it's writing something, it's about 80% done. So you have to add that 20% at the end. So, you have to finesse it, tidy it up a bit, add in the personal details. But that means that I'm creating a blog post for them, say in about 30 minutes, that would take, potentially a day before. So suddenly they're getting something from content they've already got, which then they can put on their website and use for SEO and boost them. So for me, that's where it's a democratizer. It means that that's accessible to anyone rather than, I've got to pay a whole team or find a day in my week to do this.
Yeah, that's a great example, Jenny. And for me, I think the main thing of AI is it is a time saver. So it was, as you mentioned with the podcast episode. So with these episodes, I use AI now to generate the title. So I've recorded the interview, but I could spend a disproportionate amount of time thinking, what should I call this one? Which sounds really silly, but it's important because you want people to find this content you've created. You want them to find your guest and listen to the episode. So you can spend a disproportionate amount of time thinking, what do I call it? What will get the most views? But actually, using something like AI to suggest it for you, it comes up with 20 ideas in seconds. And, the ones it suggests may not be entirely right, but it just gives you, like you say, something to spark a bit of creativity and gets you thinking differently, because I think all of us can kind of get stuck in the same format using the same ideas. So I think fresh ideas is amazing.
And the key thing to remember there is there's the human at the beginning, at the end. So you've put in the information, created the thing for it to come up with the titles, but also you're then human interaction at the end of your reviewing them and going, no, okay, that one, right, maybe tweak that, maybe combine those two, and then that's your thing. So it's like working with the assistant, because you're coming up with it together rather than just a computer doing everything. It's two-way process.
Yeah, thank you. And I can definitely see how it can save a lot of time and money, as you say, because where before, a lot of us would have to hire somebody maybe to write our social media posts or create the blogs. It's another option.
And so just thinking about more ways that you can use AI. So a lot of way I think about it is basically trying to get past stuff that you're procrastinating over, which is normally because there's a block and it's hard and it's tricky and you don't know where to start. So a big thing is it gets you past that blank page. So things I've done is, if you've got a tricky email to write, I have used it where you write your angry email in AI of what you really want to say to the client. And then you say, please, can you turn that into something professional that I can send? And it does. You get your stress out and then you get your professional email. If you like, I need to write an email asking for testimonials, but I just can't think how to word it, put it in AI. It gives you the basis. Then you just tweak it so it sounds like you, and out it goes. So it's things like that otherwise, if you look at those tasks, basically, that are sitting on your to-do list and you're struggling to get done with, that's what I would say. Is there an AI solution to that? Can you use that to get you past what the block is? It's also brilliant if you're feeling overwhelmed as well. So what you can do is you can, particularly something called Goblin Tools, which is very good for this, but you can just brain dump. So basically just write, freeform write. If that's too much, you can record it on just any sort of phone app recorder, and then put the MP4 recording in, download that, and then basically put the script in, and it will sort it all out to you. So you can give it instructions of, like, basically, please, can you turn this into do lists, sort of prioritizing tasks that I've said are immediate. And so rather than you getting overwhelmed, you can actually use it to sort all those tasks for you and come up with a suggested order. So it's brilliant for things like that. Meetings, you should never worry. No one should be taking meeting minutes anymore. AI can do all of that. So you'll have probably seen on things like Zoom, you can record and use AI and you can come up with actions at the end. But basically what I do now is I check in with all my clients when we're having a conversation. I check if I can record. I record it. That means in the meeting, I'm not trying to put notes down. I'm actually fully present with my client, talking it through with them. But at the end, I've got the recording, put it into a script, put it into AI and go, please, can you pull out all the actions, all the relevant information? Boom. I've got a beautiful summary of everything that we agreed to do. So, I mean, that just saves so much time. Years ago, I used to work for a village hall and used to have to do the minutes at those meetings. My word, if I could have used AI just to record it, it would have been brilliant. I've heard of people even using it now where they're so used to using AI, they actually always make sure they say really clearly, this is an action, because they know the AI will pick up in that and make it even clearer for the AI of what to do. So I'm hoping this is helping. It's just kind of really widening and experimenting. You're thinking, oh, is there something I could do with this? Is this going to save me time?
That's brilliant. Thank you. I mean, I feel like I personally have only just touched the surface of AI because there's a few things I've been tentatively using, but I can definitely see, I'm getting quite inspired actually of all the things that could be done. I think I'm going to be a full convert by the end of the year.
That's the plan, Vicky.
I'll be using it for everything.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Jenny.
I think that's the key. I think the key is just to have a play and just sort of not be scared of it, but just experiment. And then that's how you'll get better results.
Thank you. And so we have spoken about the benefits. Are there any benefits that we haven't touched on yet, Jenny? Because I don't want to.
I think one of the main ones is just that it has got basically mental health benefits in that it is a way to get past that brain fog. You know, I have that. I can't remember the word for that thing, or like, what are different ways of saying this? And it can help with that. I've also seen another great example of basically someone, if you're dyslexic. So I saw an example online of perfectly working as a gardener, brilliant at the job, but was struggling because of severe dyslexia with how to just send a professional email and deal with that. He just puts it all in AI now. So he can run his business and get on with what he's great at. And that's helped him overcome that. You can, because it just turns it into something professional. So I think there's a lot of good. There's a really interesting interview with Bill Gates, who's kind of looking at how they can use AI in Africa and kind of like some really positive stories. And one of the big things they were talking about that they're hoping to be able to do there is to use it for basically medical diagnosis, because it can like access everything. So, for instance, if you're really limited on doctors, but they can access all that information on AI, that's going to help hugely. And the other big thing they were talking about was the language barriers, because it can instantly transform things into the language. So, for instance, in education, rather than having textbooks in English, you can use AI to get that textbook translated into what's actually the local language. So there's some really sort of positive things, because I think what tends to dominate the headlines are like the scare stories. And it's definitely true. Like, we need to work out like security implications. We need to work out how to handle it safely. But on the flip side, there are so many positive benefits for like basically just democratizing things across the world and just helping people sort of whatever their situation is run their business more efficiently.
I really like that. Thank you. And as I keep saying, that you've definitely given me some more ideas on how it could be used. I really like the idea of using it as a starting point. I'm looking at my to-do list and I'm looking at what's been on there for a week or two. And I like the thought of going, okay, let's see if AI can help me just get started with this task that just keeps getting pushed back, for example. I think that's a really good suggestion. As so many of these, it's I think there's such a lot that can be done, and it's just working out how it works for you. But we've probably touched on these slightly, but so for small businesses, we've talked a lot about the benefits. Are there any real downsides or even just things to be aware of when we start using AI in our businesses? Yeah. Are there things we need to know and look out for?
Yes, quite a few things. First thing is basically it's a conversation with the AI to get the result you want. So if you just put in a fairly simple command and it doesn't bring out what you want, don't get in a grump. Imagine they're your intern or your work experience. You need to give them more. A really great tip I've seen is you can actually say to AI, like, ask me 5 questions that will then improve your response. So that actually it then asks you things you can narrow down so you get better response. The next thing is obviously particularly around research. Be aware that it's not always accurate. So, for instance, I was using it to look at an article this morning, and it basically came up with something. It said, oh, well, according to this company's report. And then I said, well, can you give me the link to this report? And then it was like, oh, right. So it hadn't actually got an actual report. What it had is it just pulled generally from the internet. And then actually I followed it and I saw that someone had obviously written a clearly totally AI generated blog because they hadn't checked it. And that's what it was pulling from. So basically with research, be really careful. As soon as you're getting into any sort of facts or stats, you really need to ask it then, like, can you give me the source for this? Otherwise, recheck it. Obviously, you need to be basically, you don't just post something as it is. So particularly if you're on e-commerce, you're using something like Shopify, you'll see that some of these platforms are now offering AI product descriptions. Use that as a starting point. Don't use it as the finished thing because it won't be personal. It won't be speaking directly to your customers. So again, you can use that as the kickstart. But I think the mistake would be if you don't personalize it, because then it becomes obvious that it's been written by AI. And you will be able to spot it when stuff has been written. I think that's the mistake. If you just take it without adding that personality at the end, people can tell that it's written. So I think those are the key things. The other probably main issue particularly is around imagery at the moment. So there are some quite exciting tools. Canva's got you can use AI in Canva to create images. You can say, what a picture of a donkey in a boat made out of bananas, and it will create that for you. It'll be bizarre, but it will create it. Again, you can do that with a paid version of ChatGPT, which is called DALL-E, or on something called Midjourney. So you can create amazing images, but you don't own them. So that's the other thing as well. So you don't have that copyright. So it's just being aware of that as well if you were using that.
That's really good to know. Thank you. Yes, there's definitely lots to think about. And what about privacy as well? Do we need to be worried about?
That's the key thing. So I wouldn't, for instance, upload anything that's got particularly personal business, basically stuff that you wouldn't. It's again, go back to that work assistant person. What wouldn't you tell them? Don't put that on the internet and don't tell that to AI. So obviously, secure financial stuff in your business, things like that. It's just kind of common sense. So yeah, I think that's the best way of doing it, of just imagining it that AI is your work experience. And then that almost helps you through all these decisions, because for instance, with the work experience, you wouldn't trust their research without asking them to tell you where they found it from. And you wouldn't give them secure business things without, so I think that helps as the analogy to kind of keep in mind what to and what not to share with AI.
That's really useful. Thank you. Because I do know that lots of people are worried about the privacy aspects. But I guess if you're using it for these, I don't want to say generic, but they are fairly generic tasks. Help me write an email, help me write a post. Presumably there wouldn't be anything in there that would matter if it was on the internet. I mean, it's probably going to end up on the internet anyway. So I think hopefully that puts people's minds at rest, that it's only using the information you tell it. And as long as you're smart about what you disclose to AI, it's not, so it only gets what you give it, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
So just follow the normal security practices you do anything else and you'll be fine. So.
Thank you. I think that's reassuring. And so just a few more questions before we finish, Jenny. First of all, I would love to know, do you have examples of how product businesses are currently using AI? Anything you've seen or done that you think, that's worth letting people know about?
I think the biggest one at the moment is probably actually the email writing, because I think that's something that a lot of product businesses know they need to do more of. Because I think often we tick off social media. We don't love social media, but we know we need to get that done. So we'll tick all that off. But actually the emails is often where people can get stuck, because then they can feel like they're always sending the sales email, buy. And then that feels icky. And then you're like, I don't know quite what to do. Whereas I think AI is brilliant at basically helping you generate ideas for other things that if you give it enough information about your brand, so maybe a bit about your values, like sustainability is really important to us. We create these sort of products. It can give you just so many ideas for like seasonal emails of like, oh, here's a different way of talking about how sustainability matters in your brand. And I just think that's what I'm seeing at the moment. And I'm using most of my clients is this actually allows you to deliver the amount of emails that you want to. And then as soon as you go into any sort of platforms as well, so it's worth having a look at things like Klaviyo. Elle Williamson, who you've had on here, will be the person to talk to, but also CRMs as well. There's a lot of that now, which are now adding in AI plugins, so they can just speed up all that sort of work and the automations and anticipate what you're going to do. So it's just boom, 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 and it just really speeds up those processes. So I think if you're using any sort of larger tool like that, or sort of data, it's worth just exploring what the AI there can do, because you may well find that something that's taking you quite a long time, AI can do for you instantly. So it's almost like go and have a little investigate. I'm a huge fan of YouTube. I think it's one of the best ways to learn as a free resource. So I'd also say as well, if there's some sort of tech you're using in your business, if you've got some time, go and have a little look on YouTube and just sort of see what videos are around how to like use AI or optimize that piece of tech you've got. And it will come up with stuff. And that's just the quickest way to learn from other people. So yeah, God bless every YouTuber, because what they deliver is amazing and is one of the best ways to learn how to make the most of tools in your business and get more done.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you, Jenny. Now, before we go, I'd like to say, please can we put all the links to the tools that you've mentioned in the show notes? Because I think that would be really useful to give people a starting point. Because as you say, we don't want to have to take notes while we're listening to a podcast. So we'll put links to all of the AI tools that you've mentioned so that people can go directly to the show notes, get the links and start having a play if you're not already. And my final question is, especially related to AI, what would be your number one piece of advice?
Don't be scared. And I think probably what we've talked about in this podcast is maybe as a starting point, look at those to-dos on your list that have been sat there forever and maybe have a little think about, is there a way AI can help with this? Can AI suggest a way to write this email? Can AI come up with some ideas for that, just to try and get them ticked off? So I just really hope product business owners can embrace it, because I think there's so much in your business that you could be saving time on this and just allow you to do the things that matter. So rather than you spending hours behind the computer screen creating this, if you can use AI, hopefully that's more time that you can get to trade fairs. That's more time you can get out and talk to people. That's more time you can meet people in person with networking and build your brand that way. So I really hope they can use it basically almost to sort of get onto the things that they are brilliant at in their business.
Oh, that's really helpful. Thank you so much. And my task is going to be look at what I've got on my to-do list. I'm going to take that action. I'm going to look at what I've got on my to-do list that I haven't done and see if AI can help me get started.
So if anyone does want any more support with AI, I have a free download of like the top AI tools that I recommend you go and have a play with, which will include pretty much everything I've talked about here. I also have a paid resource as well on basically creative ways to use AI in your business. So they will all be in the show notes too. I can also offer one-to-one AI mentoring. So if you would like someone to actually basically get on a call with you and sort of go through priorities in your business and sort of illustrate where you could use AI, I'm very happy to do that as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Jenny. And as you say, we will link to all of this in the show notes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again, and see you next week. If you've been inspired to start a podcast in 2024, I really recommend my podcast host, Captivate. Captivate were my top pick when I started podcasting 4 years ago because of how easy it was for a complete novice like me to get started. I've stuck with them for the last 4 years because Captivate is still really simple to use. They keep adding great new features like the ability to share ads like these, and they've just been really reliable. So when you're ready to start your own podcast, you can use the link in the show notes and get a free 7-day trial with Captivate.